Hello everyone. Today the main subject I'll be talking about is women's football. Women's football is one of the most widely followed sports in the entire world, and I'm pretty sure that everyone here is familiar with what it is. Perhaps even a few of you play football, watch live matches, or can even name a few players. But have you ever considered that there's a problem with today's gender equality in football? If you have, that's great. Or even if you haven't, that's fine too. As today I'll be talking about some of the massive differences between men and women in football, and hopefully will help everyone understand this issue much better. But more specifically, I'll be talking about the difference in media coverage and even in salaries, and how I believe that difference shouldn't exist. Because I believe that football and media fans are unknowingly and unfairly paying much more attention to men's football while leaving women's football in the shadows. Now, firstly, I'd like to try a quick experiment with you all today. Now, there are thousands of male and female footballers from all around the world. And of course, some are more commonly known than others. But the question I'm trying to ask is, are male and female footballers given the same media coverage? I mean, they have the exact same job, playing football, so there shouldn't be any differences between them, right? Well, at first thought, you may agree that there isn't a big difference in the media coverage given to men or women in football, nor is there a big difference in their salaries or really anything between them. But let me dive in and introduce to you all how in most cases there are unfair and unnecessary differences. Now behind me, you can see a picture of two extremely popular male footballers. Now, could anyone who could tell me the name of these footballers please raise their hand? Or even if you only know one of them, still please raise your hand. Yes, could you please tell me their names? Yeah, that is correct. And the other one to your left is Neymar. But I bet that's not all you know. I bet that most of you here today could tell me what club they played for, their age, and even their position. But carrying on, I'd like to do the exact same thing, but with these two players instead. Now, again, could anyone who could recognize these players please pull up their hand? Or again, if you can only recognize one of them, still please raise your hand. Okay, I can clearly see a massive difference. If you take a quick look around, you can see that there aren't many people who can recognize these players. But yes, could you please tell me their names? Yeah, and the other one is Alex Morgan. Thank you. Now, it's such a big difference, and such a shame to see this difference between men and women in football, but this is exactly what I'll be talking about today. Even by doing this simple experiment, shows that despite performing the exact same job as their male counterparts, female footballers are significantly less well recognized, and this needs to be fixed. But carrying on, let's take a quick look at Instagram. Now, there are 8 billion people living on Earth, and around 1.38 billion people use Instagram, meaning that roughly 18% of our world's population share this online space together. Now, behind me, you can see an Instagram account with 577 million followers. This account belongs to an extremely popular male footballer. His name is Cristiano Ronaldo. He's the most followed male footballer on Instagram. Now, I think we can all agree that 577 million followers is a lot. He's followed by other multiple famous people, such as Kylie Jenner, Lionel Messi, Selena Gomez, and even Dwayne Johnson. But how about we take a look at a female footballer's account? Her name is Alex Morgan, and again, she's the most followed female footballer on Instagram. She has a total of 9.9 million followers. Again, that's a lot, right? But does anyone remember how many followers Ronaldo had? 577 million followers, compared to only 9.9 million. Now there's that big difference again. But how about we take a look at another male footballer's account? His name is Kevin De Bruyne, and he's not as commonly known as Cristiano Ronaldo, but I'm pretty sure that most people today can still recognize him. He has a total of 21 million followers on Instagram. Again, that's a lot, right? But how come he has double what the most popular female footballer has? This just goes to show how gender can affect popularity in football. And one of the main reasons this imbalance of followers occurs is simply because there isn't enough branding or media coverage for women's football, nor is there enough publicity for women in general, and this needs to be fixed. I have a question for you all. In your old schools, have you ever noticed all the different clubs and opportunities the boys are offered, all the different matches they play in and all the different clubs they're offered? Now, in our school, BISI, there's been huge improvement, but sadly, for many other schools, there's been barely any change. This means that there are thousands of schools and hundreds of thousands of girls who simply do not get the opportunity to even play football. Did you know that only 44% of secondary schools in England offer equal access to football and PE lessons? And just over 1/3 of secondary schools in England offer equal access to football and extracurricular activities. This obviously leaves girls with fewer opportunities than their male peers. There has even been a study showing the difference between primary and secondary schools. The English FA, or the English Football Association, proves that 72% of girls play as much football as boys do in primary school, whereas this figure drops all the way to only 44% in secondary schools. Now, have any of you ever experienced this? or seen a friend change their opinions towards football. One of the main reasons this occurs is simply because of confidence and how there aren't enough opportunities for girls to stay interested. Even a BBC sports pundit, Ian Wright, spoke saying that if girls are not allowed to play football in their PE, just like the boys can, then what are we doing? We've got to make sure that they're able to play and get the opportunity to do so. Thankfully, many others have agreed with Mr. Wright and have stated similar things, and many others have noticed the huge and unfair differences in the game. Finally, my last point today will be about professional footballers' salaries. Do men and women get paid the same or even fairly? I'll let you decide that today. I'll be presenting 4 footballers and their salaries, 2 men and 2 women. Now behind me, you can see a picture of a woman named Sam Kerr. She has the highest salary for women in football, and she makes a total of £422,000 a year. Okay, that's a pretty good salary. And then Alex Morgan is in 4th place with a total of £362,000 a year. Again, that's a lot, right? But if we compare that to what the second highest salary for male footballers are, it seems just like pocket change. Coming in second is Kylian Mbappe, and he makes a total of £64 million a year. And the highest paid footballer earns £173 million a year. And the footballer who earns this is Cristiano Ronaldo with his new contract. But just wait a second. The highest salary for men is around over 400 times the highest salary for women. Once again, there's that big difference. You can see here Ronaldo's salary in 1 year, and Mbappe's here. And then the tiny slice of green and black is Alex Morgan's and Sam Kerr's. But how about we do something a bit different? Ronaldo earns £173 million a year, meaning that he earns just over £14 million a month, which is still somehow higher than what Alex Morgan earns in a whole year. In fact, what Ronaldo earns in a single month is almost 30 times what Alex Morgan earns in a whole year. As you can see here, this is Ronaldo's salary in just 1 month and Alex Morgan's salary in a whole year. Now, if you want to address this gender inequality in sport, then wages is a great place to start. Finally, although opportunities for girls in football are improving, I believe that there is still a long way to go before we can reach any form of equality. Schools, football clubs, and the media have a responsibility to strive for gender equality in football, but certainly haven't reached that stage yet. However, if we continue to raise the profile for the women's game, then hopefully we can bridge this imbalance, because everyone is equal and just as good as each other. Thank you for listening and being a wonderful audience.